Pleasant good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Pearland, Texas area. We're at Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, and I'm pleased to bring you the National Women's Cricket League Houston Women's T20 Championship 2023, presented by SMK Global and iStrive Technologies. This is a matchup between the Willow Breakers and the MCA women. MCA women winning the toss and choosing to bowl in relatively damp conditions, but conditions that are much better than they were an hour ago. This is Brian Walters. Happy to be able to bring you the description of this match. First delivery is bowled from over the wicket left armour. This is Aditi Praveen Kumar, and she's bowling to Bhakti Shastri. So once again, the MCA women winning the toss and under very tricky conditions. I think it was a lot wetter and a lot more of a concern, the conditions an hour ago, but the ground staff have done a really good job to keep things in such a way that we are able to play. And because of the late start, because of the conditions and the fact that we're trying to get 3 games in today, 3 games in at each field, so 6 games total, we've decided to reduce the number of overs to 15. So we're playing a 15-over match. And of course, we'll talk about what that means in just a second. So this is the first time that ball meets bat, and they get a single to backward point. Off the mark this time is Bhakti Shastri. Bhakti Shastri, of course, we saw her play yesterday. Genuine all-rounder, and we'll talk a little bit about her numbers over the years, but I think that not only is she a good cricketer, but she's also somebody who leaps off the page in terms of how impressive she is. 11 matches, 229 runs, and 3 wickets. So on the T20 circuit, batting with those 229 runs, she scored them in 253 balls. So that equates to a strike rate of 90.51 and a high score of 74 with 250s. And this is lofted down the ground just uppishly, but not carrying to that fielder at mid-off. On strike is now back to Shastri's opening teammate, and that is Divya Saxena. Divya Saxena is a former, in fact, a current Canadian player. Divya, all-rounder, opened the bowling, and this is playing across the line and looking for an LBW appeal, not given. So Divya Saxena, 17 matches, 399 runs. And once again, she plays for Canada. She's played for the Canadian national side. She plays in BPL Canada, also in the Mississauga Cricket Premier League, and has also played for the Calgary and District League. This is off the back foot, well played, and that's racing across the outfield. Diving stop down there at the boundary, not successful. I think that went all the way for 4. So good stroke, outside off, left armour from over the wicket, getting that ball a little too wide and providing the width for Divya Saxena to cash in on that. So the first boundary struck of the day, and Divya Saxena gets off the mark in style. That is the end of the first over. At the end of 1, the score is 5 without loss. 5 without loss after 1.1. And the bowling is to be taken up from the Massey Ranch Road end by Srinidhi Sagiraju, my apologies, Srinidhi. Umpires for the day. Standing umpire is Raja Arshad Hayat. Raja, in addition to being the groundskeeper here at Moosa Stadium and a former international player, played in the Masters for Pakistan and played also in England, is also a level 2 certified umpire. So good to have a real all-rounder in terms of the resources that are available here at Moosa. Being a groundskeeper is just a difficult enough job as it is, and he's done a wonderful job in being able to prepare the facility in such a way that the game can go on today. I'll tell you, when we showed up this morning, absolutely foggy and misty and brutally damp conditions. Right now it looks like a completely different place than it did first thing this morning. And then to be able to have that person also be able to stand in as umpire when needed is a real bonus. So that ball is driven through the offside for a single. So we have a single and a wide so far in the over. So 2 official, and make that 2 wides and a single. So 2 official delivers bowled so far in this over. Once again, we're playing a 15 over match. This is down the leg side and signaled wide by umpire Hayat. 15 over match would mean that the first 5, if I'm not mistaken, will be deemed the power play overs. Whether it's 4 or 5, we're still comfortably inside of the power play overs. And so I think it's going to be something to pay attention to. The 2 fielders allowed outside of the circle are both square on the offside. This is driven down the ground. It's going to run away for 4. Good looking shot. And on drive, pitched up and a little too straight by Srinidhi. And once it got past that inner ring, there's a fielder short mid-wicket and a fielder mid-on. But it split those 2 fielders. And then having the legs to run away, even in the damp outfield, for the second boundary of the day. So Divya Saxena up now to 8 from 4. She's striking it at a 200 strike rate. Back to Shastri, 2 from 5. That would be a 40 strike rate. But in this compressed form of the game, 15 overs, you expect that they both will be very aggressive. This is lofted in the air over mid-wicket. That's going to be close to the boundary. Good work by mid-on to run back and prevent that from being 4, but they still run through for 2. So looking to be a little bit more aggressive, it looks like. And certainly the opportunity is there, I think, to find scoring opportunities or to find scoring options, given the way that the outfield is. And I mentioned it's been very wet, but hit the ball well enough and you still get value for your shots, because even though it's wet, it's still very low cut. And a repeating of a typical shot that she's played twice already in this over. This time she gets it wide of mid-on, and it goes away for the third 4 struck by Divya Saxena. She's up to 14 from 6 balls. She certainly knows that in this compressed form of the game, only 15 overs, so we're only still with 1 ball to go here in the second over. There's only 79 balls to go for the entire match. So she's looking to make hay while the sun shines. And speaking of the sun shining, we're in brilliant sunshine at the moment. Yesterday, there was a lot of rain. The forecast calls for plenty of rain tomorrow. So we hope we'll be able to get the matches in tomorrow. But certainly today, brilliant sunshine forecast for the entire day. So we should have a full day's worth of cricket. And looking big again, going over the offside. And as almost always the case, the second shot that she rehearsed is much better than the first. But either way, that is a very productive over. 14 runs coming from it. We're looking at this replay. full and going through. Boy, look where that ball passed. I actually missed that. It passed actually between the batter and the leg stump. So that was a good delivery. A little bit of an in-swinger there by Srinidhi. And luckily for Divya Saxena, she was not dismissed. That ball very easily could have kissed the leg stump. End of 2, Aditi Praveen Kumar to be at the top of her mark again to start her second over. 2 overs in and we're at 19 without loss. So relatively aggressive start. Scoring at the rate of 9.5 runs and over. .5 and over. Of course, so the 15 over match, you're looking for something probably in the region of about 125 or 130. Oh, look at this stop start. But luckily for the non-striker, Divya Saxena, she gets back without much trouble. So back to Shastri, starting out a little bit more slowly than Divya Saxena. She's only 2 from 6. And she's going to want to join her partner. Or maybe the plan is for one to be aggressive and the other to stay at the wicket. Don't know what they would have discussed. Looking for a quick single. The throw came in at the keeper's end. A little bit late getting off the mark was Divya. But luckily for her, she gets there without much trouble. So another single. We're now up to 20 on the scoreboard. Srinidhi Sajiraju is the opening bowler from the Massey Ranch Road end. We'll get into her figures after this delivery. And the current bowler standing here with the ball in hand is Aditi. In fact, well, we have a couple of seconds. Srinidhi Raghu has not taken any wickets nor conceded any runs so far in 2 matches. So relatively inexperienced. This is hammered into the covers, but that's a good stop. I'll tell you what, they'll run through for a single, but that ball was struck with some power. It could have gone for 4 had it not been stopped by that fielder at short extra cover. In fact, that might be the captain herself. Nope, I apologize. That's Aradhya. Good piece of fielding in the covers. Conceded a single, but easily could have gone away for more. So good work by her. And this is stroked away. That's a good-looking shot. Square of the wicket. You'll get just one, though, because there's that fielder out in the deep position, very strategically at deep backward point. So I mentioned inside the power play overs, you're only allowed 2 fielders allowed outside the circle. And as of right now, those 2 fielders outside are at deep backward point and deep mid-wicket. So to me, that suggests bowling short of length. Anything that is too full will be driven back down the ground, and there's no protection down there. So you're going to have to be very accurate with your length if you are Aditi Praveen Kumar, wanting to make sure that you don't give anything too full. Anything that is too full will be banged down the ground. And again, she stays on that short of length kind of a length. That's a good length for this type of field. And even though it was forced toward mid-on, not enough power in that shot to be able to get any runs. So if you're going to miss your length here, if you're Aditi Praveen Kumar, you're going to want to miss it too short as opposed to too full. Because too short and outside off stump, there's connect or protection in the deep at point. Now this one is in the air and lofted straight to mid-on and taken. So pretty simple catch. And it appears that though that ball was a little bit fuller than you would think it should be given the field, the connection was not made well by Divya Saxena and hit in the air and taken right at mid-on. So a pretty simple catch. Looking at the replay, you see that Divya Saxena was ready and looking to go big, but not making all the contact that she needed to. And dragging that one from outside off stump. That might have been her undoing, because had she played that with that angle, left arm over, had she played towards the offside. I think that might have been a better option, and she should probably think that when she sees the replay, because there was an opportunity to get runs through the offside, but not able to. She dragged that one from outside of off stump all the way over onto the onside, and in so doing lost the power that she ordinarily should have gotten on that shot, and ends up just chipping a simple catch to mid-on. So the first wicket goes down. Very aggressive start by Divya Saxena, but she perishes, having been dismissed for 15 from 10 balls with 3 boundaries. And replacing her at the wicket is the hard-hitting Melanie Henry with just, in fact, that was the last ball of the over. So the end of the over, Melanie Henry is now the non-striker, as the bowling will be again coming from the Massey Ranch Road end of the pitch. This is Srinidhi Raju. In fact, no, different bowler. It's Chinmahi Arabiselvan. This is played off the back foot down to deep third for a single. So shuffling the bowlers a little bit is the captain, Snigdha Paul. So Chinmahi Aruvaselvan with her first over. So just one over bowled by Srinidhi Sagiraju. Immediately, Melanie Henry is now on strike. One of her favorite scoring areas is deep mid-wicket, or the arc between mid-wicket and long on. So there's nobody in the deep there. I suspect that she'll be looking to score in that area. Now, stroking it into the extra cover area for a single, gets off the mark. Very good looking shot. And by the way, the sound that ball makes coming off the bat is a wonderful sound if you are able to hear that. I don't know that the mics outside can pick that up, but just a really wonderful sound of ball meeting bat. That's very well timed by Melanie Henry. So this is Chinmahi, conceded 2 runs already from her first 2 deliveries. Right arm, medium pacer, outside the line of off. Not a clean collection by the keeper. In fact, that's the keeper and captain, Snigdha Paul. Just looking now at the way the field is set, a similar field to the one that was set before, except that there's a deep third and a deep offside hit in the air, and that could have been caught, but it's going to run all the way for 4. A fielder on just inside the circle at mid-wicket, you think would have had a chance to have caught that. It was to her left, and that was Aradia. Hit to her left. She's a right-hander, so that would have made it a more difficult catch, but just out of her reach and not able to get to it, and in so doing concedes a boundary. Her captain will think that she should have been able to pouch that one. Those opportunities don't come very often. And played away off the back foot now down to deep third. That should be all that they get. There's a throw that comes back in. So a little bit of an eventful over so far with 1 ball to come, where you could argue that that catch should have been taken. And then not only is the catch not taken, concedes a boundary. Certainly something that you want to clean up if you are the MCA women. Now Melanie Henry on strike. And remember that deep mid-wicket area I mentioned. This is stroked into the covers for no run. And that concludes the over. One other productive over. 7 runs coming from it. At the end of 4, the score is 29 for 1. 29 for 1 after 4. And as a reminder, this is the National Women's Cricket League Houston Women's T20 Championship for 2023, right here at the fabulous Moosa Stadium in Pearland, Texas. For those who are not aware, there are 2 stadiums in the country that are ICC certified. The first one is in Lauderhill, Florida, and this right here in Pearland, Texas is the second. So that's something that those of us who grew up playing cricket in less than ideal conditions here in the Houston area will be very happy to acknowledge. So new bowler coming from the Pearland end. This is going to be Miha Sivakumar. Miha, right arm seamer, and she's now bowling to Bhakti Shastri. Bhakti has been there as an opener, 10 from 12. Very full, in fact, full toss and squeezed off the outside edge. That will run away for 4 to backward point. Very full, and again, outside the line of off stump. And just guiding it through the offside off the angled bat. Didn't need to have a lot of flourish in the shot because it was timed very well. And it races away through backward point for 4. Again, this is, I believe, the last over of the power play. And in fact, we may be outside of the power play. So maybe the power play was just the first 4 overs because there are currently 3 fielders outside the circle. There's a deep mid wicket, there is a deep third, and there is a deep point. So let's assume that the power play overs are only the first 4. So now that we're outside of the power play overs, you can be a little bit more defensive in your field setting. You can have as much as 5 fielders outside of the circle. As long as you're maintaining 4 inside the circle, then you otherwise can be as defensive as you want to be. Looking to go down the leg side. And apparently that flicked something on the way through because it was collected, would have passed behind the batter, but just there you see umpire Raja Arshad Hayat indicating that that ball might have just flicked the batter on the way through, so would not have been considered a wide. Now that is considered a wide, I think, and it's going to run away close to the boundary. In fact, it goes all the way to the boundary, and there is a signal from umpire Hayat. 5 wides, bonus runs offered here by the MCA women. So 1 wide, or 1 run for the wide, and then the fact that it went all the way for 4 means that you add that to the 1. So 5 bonus runs, and of course when that happens, that ball does not count. So really that hurts you in 2 different ways. Number 1, you're bowling an extra delivery that the batters can score off of. And number 2, you're conceding those 5 runs. So that's something to clean up. Here's the next delivery. Looking down the leg side this time. And there's your signal. So now 6 bonus runs already in this over. 10 runs from the over so far, and you still have 3 legal deliveries to bowl. So Meha Sivakumar just having a little bit of trouble finding the right radar. Back to Shastri, 14 from 15 is on strike, and that's a much better ball. Just punch down to mid-on for no run. And the way that things are right now, the conditions are really, really beautiful. So I mentioned that it was very moist and wet this morning and damp. It still is sort of damp. I don't think it will be perfectly dry until maybe 11 o'clock, maybe even 12. But this is going down the leg side again and yet another wide. But under the conditions where the sun is shining, it's a much more pleasant day for cricket than it was yesterday. And again, according to the forecast, it will be like this for the remainder of the day. So maybe with some reduction in overs because of the late start overall, but we may be able to get 3 complete matches in. Looking to pull this one away, but it's high. Appeal for an LBW not given. So 1 ball remaining here in the 5th. This over has already conceded 11 runs with 1 to go. Of those 11, 7 have been wides. Last delivery, kind of bit of a top edge, didn't hit it cleanly, so it will only go for 1. In fact, they will only get that 1. So really, she's very lucky. That's a full toss down the leg side that easily could have been put away for more runs. But she comes out of it relatively unscathed. Still 12 runs coming from the over, 6 of which were wide. So Miha Sivakumar has some cleaning up to do there. At the end of 5, the score is 40-1. Once again, happy to bring you the National Women's Cricket League Houston Women's T20 Championship-2023. This is going to be Chinmahi back into the attack for her second over. Chinmahi right arm over the wicket. And bowling now to back to Shastri, who's 15 from 19. And here we are for the second delivery of the over. Lofted in the air, catchable, but landing short. Boy, that ball was in the air for a bit. You thought that the captain, in fact, I said earlier that the captain was keeping. My apologies. She's not keeping. She's now standing at mid-on. And for a split second, you might have thought that she'd had a chance to catch that, but choosing to not go for the catch. Ball hung in the air for a bit, so she may have had the opportunity to get there. Very full and lofted again to short mid-wicket. In that same area, back to Shastri, not able to keep that ball down, but luckily for her, it has not yet found or gone to hand. But a good over on the way here from a relatively expensive over, 12 runs the previous over. So far, 3 dot balls already. And down the leg side now, and umpire Talat is going to signal, Hayat rather, is going to signal a wide. So the first run from the over comes via the wide route. Chinmahi. Again into her second over. 1.3 overs so far. None for 8 are her stats. Next delivery goes past the outside edge this time. That's a good-looking delivery. And so if she keeps that line, I think that's going to be a much better option for her. Chinmahi, very experienced. 171 matches across all formats. 2,217 runs and 112 wickets. So for the National Women Cricket League, 44 runs, 31 balls, but more to the point as far as her bowling is concerned. She's played in 2 matches, and this is stroked through the offside. That should just be 1. There's coverage out there in the deep. So 2 matches, 3 overs, 1 for 19. Economy rate of just over a run a ball, 6.33. Strike rate of 18. But in the National Youth Cricket Tournament, 8 matches and 7 innings, 20 overs bowled, 88 runs, and 2 wickets. So she's mostly played at the youth level, but now playing on the senior circuit for the women and looks to be the real deal. This is defended by Melanie Henry into the backward square leg area. They'll jog through for a single. So just another. In fact, that is the end of the over. So good work overall, even with the 1 wide in that over. That second over by Chinmahi only goes for 3 runs. So good work from her. 6 overs up. Again, we're scheduled for 15 overs. So another 9 overs, another 54 balls to go. And the score is 44-1. 44 for 1 after 6. Scheduled for 15 over match. So the Willow Breakers, after having been put into bat in what I would probably estimate would have been proper bowling conditions, are actually doing very well. This first ball is bowled by a new bowler. That's through and going all the way for 4. And boy, Shutika, who is the keeper with gloves on, is not happy with the effort there at mid-wicket. That ball could potentially have been stopped. New bowler is Aradia. She delivers one that's just a little too short and allowing Melanie Henry to pounce all over it. Not struck very hard, but she timed it well and it runs away for 4. Melanie Henry, if you've not seen her bat, is a power hitter, able to clear. In fact, she hit the only 6 to my recollection in yesterday's action and absolutely can hit a cricket ball. So you're going to want to be accurate here. Short and in the air and straight to mid-on or maybe mid-wicket over her head, and it goes toward the boundary. They'll get a couple. Boy, Melanie Henry's heart would have been in her mouth at that shot because that easily could have been caught, and you can probably argue should have been caught. And now you see that is always not the best feeling in the world as a fielder when they switch you from a position where you just dropped a catch. But it's important to win these games, and so you want to make sure that you take advantage of all these opportunities. So that's 2, a double where there, in theory, should have been a wicket. Next delivery, tossed up and played off the back foot straight down the ground. That's going to run away for 4. So no protection down the ground. It's an interesting call for a spinner. And she bowled that one really very short. And Melanie Henry does not need an invitation to hit a cricket ball. As I said, she's a good striker of the ball. And this one goes away for 4. So the scoring rate picking up just a little bit now, up to 8.31 and over. Current score up to 54 with 3 balls remaining. We're halfway through the 7th over, so we're almost approaching the halfway stage of the innings. So Melanie Henry ready again, facing up to Aradia Vasith. And I'm very sorry, Aradia. I've practiced a number of times pronouncing your last name, and I absolutely am not getting it. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to call you Aradia. And here she is again. Tossed up and swept away powerfully, but there's protection down there. That is deep square leg in play, and that just yields 1 run. So that's a good job of bowling to her field by Aradia. It's just 1 ball remaining now in the 7th. And back to Shastri, who opened the batting, 16 from 23 balls. Melanie Henry, the more enterprising of the 2, 13 from 8 balls. Tossed up, and it is cut off the back foot, forced to short third. And that is the end of the over, as Srinidhi is able to secure that ball and get it back in. So that is the end of the over. A single to finish things up in the 7th. At the end of 7, the score is 56 for 1. Seven overs up. Chinmahi is going to be into her 3rd over. Her figures so far, 2 overs, none for 10. Going down the leg side this time. This is going to be a wide. And They, in fact, only run one, but here comes a signal from umpire Hayat. And I'm absolutely pleased to be joined in the commentary area by one of the more prominent names featured here this weekend, Miss Delkash Shariarian. Did I nail that?
You absolutely did. Good job. Hi, Brian. And hello to everyone out there.
Listen, it's a point of emphasis for me, and I always try to make sure that I get the names right. Some I'll never get, but yours, with a little bit of research or a little bit of practice, I was able to get it. So tell everyone who you are, what your background is, and what brings you here this weekend.
My name is Jalkash Shariarian. I'm a former USA national player. I've represented the US at the World Cup qualifiers in Bangladesh a couple of years ago. And since then, I have been playing in a lot of tournaments. I would say primarily in the US, but I've also traveled to Canada, South Africa, Mexico, Brazil. Try to support the game and give back as much as I possibly could have. And I've pretty much been part of USA women's cricket since its inception in 2008. And a lot of the players I'm seeing playing right now, a lot of these young kids were just starting off playing cricket. So I'm very happy to see that they're still part of the game. And I'm here to support them in whatever way I can.
Development is so critically important. What you do, not only from what you've done in the past playing for the US, but being able to be a resource for these younger players, I think is a pretty significant piece of your contribution to this weekend. So tell me a little bit about the interaction between you and the younger players. Some of them are very talented. I made the comment yesterday that many of them don't necessarily have the, let's say, the infrastructure around them. When I say infrastructure, I'm also referring to coaching, and I'm referring to influence from former international players. Right. Some of them are missing that. So how is it that you're able to contribute that to these young players this weekend?
So that's where I feel like these platforms are helpful, because a lot of times I'm playing against some of these young players, and they're learning from us. And at the same time, when we are playing, we're also helping them indirectly, where, you know, if they're doing something wrong, we're there to correct them. They come to talk to me after the game as well. So I try to help them out as much as I can. Yes, it's unfortunate that they don't have, any kind of resources, infrastructure where they are. But I think if they come out and play in these tournaments, they can just build from here and, improve their game.
So, this is pulled into the mid-wicket gap. There'll just be two here, though, I think. In fact, they only get one. So your team is relatively stacked with talent, but you're also shorthanded. So yes. With regard to your chances in this overall tournament, is it more important? Well, I know it's more important, but what's the likelihood of you even being a shorthanded side playing with 10 players? What's the likelihood of you all making some or doing some damage in this tournament?
We definitely have. And we just lost a wicket there.
Well, thankfully you already padded up, so yes. You can go straight from the commentary box into the wickets.
Yes, that is the intent. Even though we're short, I would like to say that we have enough talent to help us pull through. It's never fun to play with a short team, but it's just a few things that happen that are out of our control. So we just have to make the best of the opportunities on hand.
So when you are not on a cricket field, what are you doing? By the way, Nithya says, hi, Delkash. And she also wants to know, what do you think will be a par score? We'll get back to my question in a second. Nithya wants to know, what do you think will be a par score in the current conditions against MCA?
I think 130 would be good.
See, great minds think alike. That is the exact number I said earlier, 130. Okay, tell me why you think that's a par score.
Because I know they have a couple of I would say just a handful of good players. So I think if we can keep them in control, we should be good. So we just want to make sure we're putting up a higher total. And I'm guessing the outfield would be drier later on, so that's also going to be to their advantage. So I think putting up a good score right now would be crucial.
So if you'd won the toss, I'm thinking you'd have wanted to bowl first also.
Yes, absolutely.
But I have to say, wet conditions, really just when I showed up at 7:30, I didn't think there's any way we'd play before 10 o'clock.
We could not see the ground, so yeah.
Literally, standing or being here in the commentary area, you literally could not see the ground out there. So the fact that we're actually playing a match already, I think, is a testament to, I'd say, the true all-rounder, Raja Arshad Hayat, who is not only the groundskeeper here, but also a level 2 certified umpire. So it's good to have somebody like that in the mix.
Absolutely, and he's doing a fantastic job. So it's good to have these resources.
My goodness. So as I started asking you before, I was rudely interrupted by Nitya. When you're not on a cricket field, what do you do?
When I'm not on the cricket field. So my professional life, I'm a UX designer at Chase. So I tend to be involved with a lot of workshops that are related to work. But besides that, I'm also coaching out in Long Island. So I coach young kids, under 10, under 12. So I'm trying to give back as much as I possibly can. And because I live in New York, there's always something to do. So, you just have to get out there and there's something going on. So.
Tell me about your coaching.
So I am a level 1 coach. I was also recently part of a women's leadership program in Brazil that was hosted by ICC Americas last year. And that was a great platform because I could interact with other coaches, other women from the Americas. So I think that was a fantastic opportunity. And like I said, I try and give back as much as I possibly can. So I'm part of an academy out in Long Island, and I go and help out the kids as much as I possibly can.
Number of people number of kids in the academy, what percentage are women? Give me some sort of demographic information about the academy.
So unfortunately, they don't have any women, no girls. But because they see me as their coach, a lot of the parents have approached me and they've said, so-and-so has a sister that's sitting out there or is at home. She likes to see the game, but we want to get her involved. And that's where I'm like, bring her out. I can get her playing with us or just come to see some of our games that we even play locally in New York. And that could just be a start of, finding a raw talent out there.
So next question, this is struck down the ground. In fact, struck directly to mid-off for no run. Next question, speak a little bit more globally. Globally meaning at the 10,000-foot level about women's cricket in this country. Where has it been? Where is it now? And where do you think it's going?
So when I started playing back in 2008, we had a lot of really good talent. And unfortunately, that took a dip a few years after. But the good thing was a lot of these kids continued playing. And then I can see that they've really turned the game around. And just to see them play makes me so happy that they're also part of, say, the U19 team or the senior team. So domestically, I think women's cricket is improving from where we started off. There's a lot more potential, and I hope that USA Cricket can give us all the resources to push this further out. And in terms of the Americas, there's a lot of cricket happening, especially like countries like Brazil, where they have contracts given out to all their national players. So that's just been fantastic for them. And I know Mexico and some of these other countries are working on developing their game.
That's interesting. Now, just a note about the game that we're watching right now. It's 65 for 2, 8.3 overs, and I think I just saw no ball signaled by the square leg umpire, Yuvraj Singh. In fact, standing umpire is overruling the call by the square leg umpire, signaling that it's in fact a wide but not a no ball. So from here, my first impression, I'd like to know what you think. That is crunched through the offside. That will run away for 4. In fact, I'll ask you a different question. The sound that the ball makes when it comes off of Melanie Henry's bat is different from any other player in this tournament for me. What do you think?
It is. I could not agree less with you. So
You could not agree less with me?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I got a little excited there. Yeah, Melanie is a fantastic player. Just the sound off the bat is just amazing to hear. So yeah, let's see what she can do.
I will tell you, it's not often staying in here. This room is very.
It's soundproof.
It's soundproof. You can see the sponge all around, so it's designed to not let sound either in or out. And you don't hear the ball coming off of any of the other players' bats, but when she hits it, you actually hear it through the sound or through the soundproof nature of this room. And that's going to go past extra cover for 4 more. So she's looking to turn the Jets on. That's the end of the over. 74 after 9. So what are the chances of you getting to the 130 that you were looking for with 8 wickets in hand? 6 overs to go, and Melanie at the wicket, and a certain former USA all-rounder padded up in the commentary booth.
I'm still keeping my fingers crossed, but hey, like 10 short would be okay. Wouldn't do less damage.
Very interesting. So, in fact, talking about your par score, does your par score take into account the fact that you're short-handed?
I want to say yes. Should be okay. I think we have some people still waiting to go in and bat, so trying to push for that score.
Interesting. Now back to thinking like USA Cricket. My suspicion, I don't know if you know my past life before I'm trapped with a mic in my hand. I spent a number of years on the board of USACA. How do I put this? And I'm always very diplomatic. I stayed there until I didn't feel like I could do much in terms of impacting the overall state of cricket in the U.S. And so I then determined that it was better for me to work outside of the board than on the board, if that makes sense. So I think based on what I saw then and what I see now, there is a certain amount of, I'd probably refer to it as healthy frustration with the fact that there is not, and I'm being I'm measuring my words very carefully, the output is less than the sum of the inputs, I'd put it that way. And you'd think that in the country that has the largest sports market in the world and that has the most resources in the world, that we've not done a better job of being able to marshal those resources in a way that impacts cricket positively for players and in particular for women players. So generally that's my starting point when it comes to analysis of women's cricket. I absolutely wish that we were able to do more. It's good to see small steps in the direction. Something like the National Women's Cricket League is a huge bonus to give this sort of platform for women cricketers. I wish at this point that we were further down that road.
I completely agree with you. There's so much talent. There's so many women, especially out there, who want to play, who have been playing, and I would also credit the parents who've been pushing their children to go out there and play and participate, like you said, in such tournaments like NWCL. So again, we did not have these opportunities when we were playing.
Melanie Henry doing Melanie Henry things. Keep going.
So we did not have these kind of opportunities. We lack such platforms. So I agree there's so much going on, but it could have been further out from where we are right now. I know the parents, I know the players are doing their part. So we definitely need a lot more push uh, from the governing body.
So I don't want to, in fact, I'm not going to turn this into a let's bash USA cricket conversation, but I will say that I'm pleased to see things happening nationally on the men's side. I'm very pleased to see that. The saying is that a rising tide lifts all boats. And if that's the case, I'd like to think that eventually women's cricket, even if it takes 2 or 3 or 4 years, that women's cricket will have the opportunity as that's whipped away through mid-wicket, may just get to the boundary. No, that's good work. Pull back and they'll get a couple. I'd like to think that we're talking in a couple of years. Let's just say the most conservative estimate would be 5 years, that we have some element of a professional league for women. Even if you chop off one of the zeros at the end as compared to what the men in Major League Cricket are going to be getting, I'd like to think that that's the direction that we're moving in long term.
Again, that's what all of us players would like to see happen. But I think if there's a way to speed up that process would definitely help, because there are a lot of players out there who want to participate in such platforms and just show what they have. So I think that would be great.
My sense is that there's a lot of talent in this country, and I've always said, if you want to think of how long it will take for the USA national teams to compete with the big boys, the big three, or even the top 10 test playing countries, realistically, it will take a generation at minimum for the men to play with India or Australia or South Africa. I think the women, and I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on this, I think the women have a shorter potential time frame, because I think the talent in this country is closer to the levels of England and Australia and South Africa than on the men's side. What do you think?
I agree with you. But again, I think we definitely need a lot more resources and infrastructure to make sure that our women are seen and they can, really be on that platform with the top teams. I feel we are lacking that.
Certainly lacking that, and I think without belaboring the point, when you have the resources and you just see that the resources, it's not a matter of the resources not existing, it's a matter of their not being prioritized. Somebody a long time ago said this in relation to government, like maybe at the national level, but it can also relate to sports. Show me your budget and I'll show you where your priorities are. And for me, that is exactly what I need to see in terms of what is important to USA Cricket, what is important to the sporting community, and what can we do to make sure that we actually prioritize producing and honing the best talent that we have to have it reflect on the field of play.
Right, yeah.
Of course, I realize I'm sitting here preaching to the choir. So I can. By the way, Delcash, go back to, let's say, I'm assuming that you're way younger than me. Go back to your birth. Where were you born and when did you come here?
I grew up in Mumbai, India. And obviously back in India, cricket is religion. So grew up playing cricket.
Sure.
And I moved to the US in 2006 to pursue my master's in architecture in New York. And I've been a New Yorker since then.
A New Yorker. So you identify as a New Yorker is what you're saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. I wasn't born here. I got here as quickly as I could. I was born 55 years ago this past Wednesday.
Oh, nice. Belated happy birthday.
Thank you. Moved to Houston in 1982 when I was 14. When I moved here, obviously the only sports that I knew were cricket and football or soccer.
Soccer. Yeah.
Nobody here was playing either football or soccer. And I knew absolutely nothing about American football or baseball or basketball. So, all of that to say, to see how sports develop over time in an environment it's a case study in itself. Look
Yeah.
at where soccer is now as
Mhm.
compared to where it was when I moved here.
Mhm.
My oldest son went to school on a football scholarship, soccer scholarship, and is
Wow.
now playing professionally.
Wow.
My younger son is finishing up his junior year in high school and has attracted attention. The stroke down to mid-on for a single has attracted attention from colleges. In all likelihood, he will end up playing for have a college scholarship also. All of that to say, my dream for the younger players here is that, again, time frame to be determined, but I want for there to be some infrastructure that allows them to actually have cricket be a part of their education, and their education as it relates to being able to pay for it.
And like you rightly said, it's all about the time. If there's a way to speed up the process, I think that would be a fantastic opportunity. And I know because I've spoken to some of the girls and they have shared that if they had that opportunity, they would have definitely, just scooped that up. So, yeah, I think that's something that we are lacking.
Certainly lacking it, but look, we can spend all day talking about the negative aspects of cricket in this country. I think the positive aspects are that we have, I think the last number that I heard was around 250,000 people playing cricket in this country. And even though this
Wow.
country is 330 million, 250,000 people playing cricket would qualify, number one, as the entire population of many Caribbean islands, of most Caribbean
When you
islands
put it
actually.
like that, okay.
And so to have that sort of activity, even though it's a minuscule percentage of the overall population, is still in absolute numbers something that you can sort of use as a base to be able to push forward
Right,
from. So
right.
anytime you see this type of activity taking place on a Saturday after or Saturday morning in the fourth largest city in the US, you have a major women's tournament underway. It's something I think that we should celebrate.
It's definitely a win, definitely.
Okay, so I don't want to keep you here for the entire time. You are captaining a side that's about to go into the
Trying
field.
to focus.
I get that. So, listen, thank you very much for spending the last several minutes talking to me. Best of luck in this game, in the rest of the tournament, and I'm sure we'll see each other soon.
Thank you, Brian. You're doing a great job yourself. And
Oh.
thanks to everybody watching us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Delkash Shariarian. Hey, I nailed it again. And so getting back to where we are in this game, the score is 91 for 2 after 10.4. This is Giovanna, the vice captain of the side, with the ball in her hand. Right arm seamer, bowling over the wicket. Now bowling to Melanie Henry. Melanie Henry, 32 from 24. She's been cutting loose and going for her shots, and really there's only a handful of deliveries left in this innings. And that's played off the back foot. That should just be one, though. So we're into, in fact, there's one ball remaining here in the 11th over. And so after this, there's only 4 overs left. So let's say there's just 25 balls left in this innings. And you heard Captain Delcash say that something around 130 they'd be happy with. So let's see how the next 4 overs and 1 ball play themselves out. Hala Asmat is at the striker's end in the red helmet and the red pads. And it is Melanie Henry at the non-striker's end currently. Hala Asmat 2 from 4 and Melanie Henry 33 from 25 are the 2 at the wicket. And that's defended. And they could potentially have gotten a single there, but Melanie Henry says no, potentially because she wants some of the strike, wants it after the next delivery. In fact, it will be the next delivery because that is the end of the 11th over. Just the last 4 remaining. The score is 92 for 2. 92 for 2, just the last 4 overs remaining here, and this is going to be the captain herself, Snigdha Paul, bowling from the Massey Ranch Road and bowling to Melanie Henry. Crashed into the offside. That's a good piece of fielding at extra cover. Not a clean pickup, but it prevents the ball from getting through and thereby saving 3 runs for her side. That's not an insignificant number, particularly at this stage of the innings. You're going to want to make sure that every single run that you can stop is stopped, because every run that you stop is one less that you have to score when it's your turn to bat. Fishing outside the line of off, a little bit too wide for the liking of the umpire. So once again, this is a 15 over match, so you're only looking at the next 23 illegal deliveries as what in terms of what you have to work with. Next delivery, hit in the air towards the covers, throw coming into the non-striker's end, shy at the stumps, it misses, and then the backup is not successful, so they'll steal an extra run. Those are the sorts of things that the captain will not be happy with. Now the score ticking over to 96 for 2 with a couple of wides. You're going to want to clean up these little miscues and the fumbles. Next delivery. Stroked down to long on for a single. So Melanie Henry, you would think with her big hitting ability would be potentially the difference between a score around what Captain Delcash is looking for and maybe something underneath that, but it's key for her to stay at the wicket. And this is powered down to long on. It's going to be another single. Fielder down here in front of us is Chinmahi Aribo Sullivan, my apologies, Chinmahi. So just 3 balls remaining here make that 2 balls remaining here in the captain's second over. So far she's conceded 14 runs. And looking to make sure that she closes out strong here. This is Hala Asmat, 5 from 7, facing up outside off, and it's crashed away into the offside. That should just be a single. A good setting, a good field setting. And that fielder in the deep positioned perfectly for that type of shot. So again, that's good bowling to her field by the captain. So you have a sweeper on the offside, nobody deep square of the wicket on the leg side, but there is a long on. In fact, and there's a deep square leg. I'm sorry, deep third. So those are the 3 outside of the circle. They could have 1 more inside if they wanted. They've chosen so far not to, which for me is an interesting choice. You're at the back end of the innings and you have a big hitter at the crease, so you'd think you'd be more defensive, particularly in that area, that arc between long on and deep mid wicket, because that's one of Melanie Henry's favorite scoring areas. And this goes in that direction, straight to long on this time though. And just a single to end things here in the 12th. That's a good over in the context of things. 8 runs coming from that over. And that brings up the 100. So exactly 100 on the board with 3 overs to go. Score is 100 for 2. 100 for 2. We're into the last 3 overs, the last 18 legal deliveries so far. The top scorer for the innings has been Melanie Henry. Melanie Henry, 36 from 28, and she is still there. And I don't know that the MCA women will like this statistic, but the second highest score in the innings is extras with 25. So you're going to want to clean that up. And then the last 18 delivers, the last 3 overs. All you want if you're the captain is just for 18 legal deliveries on the stumps and maybe just short of driving length. If you could do that 18 times, I think your captain will be happy for you. Outside off and played back down to short extra cover for no run. That is a good ball, and that's exactly the type of bowling that I'm suggesting that they do hit from this point forward. Because you have to make them score off of your good balls. If they're bad balls, they're more than capable of punishing them. That's tapped around the corner for a single. But you'll accept at this stage singles if you are the MCA women. Simply looking for a way to keep these batters quiet. Particularly, you're looking to keep Melanie Henry quiet. So if you can concede a single to her, then I think that's in line with what you want. It's played into the offside for no run. Only 16 balls make that 15 balls remaining now. So there needs to be a bit of a sense of urgency if you're going to get to 130. That would require for you to score another 29 runs in the next 15 balls. So that would be more than 2 runs. In fact, just under 2 runs a ball that you'd need to go from here. So some urgency is needed if you're going to find that par score that the captain wanted. And in the meantime, just a bit of a delay by Melanie Henry adjusting the helmet. Not exactly sure what the issue is, but she's ready to go again. And so far, Meha Sivakumar, this is played off the back foot down to extra cover. They run, in fact, that gets through mid-off, and they go through for a couple. So if you're looking for 2 runs a ball, you've gotten them from that delivery. Going back to Meha Sivakumar. Very good bowler. Get into her figures just after this delivery. Looks for the big swipe and a miss. It's a thick under edge and it goes towards the boundary at fine leg. I think they'll get 2 easily. But pay attention to the umpire here. Okay, so no signal from the umpire, so that probably was an under edge. So Meha Sivakumar, in 102 matches across all formats, she's taken 40 wickets. So as far as the NWCL is concerned, T20, she's bowled in 13 or 14 matches, bowled 13 innings, taken 5 wickets and conceded 210 runs. So that's an average of 42. And she, I would think, is a better bowler than that. Economy rate is good, less than a run a ball, 5.7, and a strike rate of 44.2. And in 1 days, she is bowled in 5 matches, 4 innings, 12 overs, 1 for 56 are her figures there. So she appears to be less of a wicket taker and more of a containing bowler, because you really at this stage you accept containing almost more than you would wicket taking, because you can take all the wickets you want, but if you can't stop the other team from scoring, particularly in a match that's 15 overs, then you do not have the ability to restrict that team from scoring, and that puts you on the back foot as far as your batting unit is concerned. So that's the end of her over. The score is 105 for 2. So we're into the last 2 overs here. Just another 12 balls, another 12 legal balls remaining. That's a good over from Meha Sivakumar. 5 runs coming from it. And so now into the back end of the innings, we're really going to, I think, see with 8 wickets in hand, a definitive attempt to be more aggressive. And I would think just with the captain with the ball in her hand, Snigdha Paul, tremendous all-rounder, by the way. She's a top-order batter, lefty, tremendous bowler, and also keeps wicket in addition to being the captain. So she's going to give you everything. She impacts the game in a number of different ways. Really, really talented young player. Facing now Melanie Henry, 37 from 30. And that's outside the line of off stump, too far outside the line of off. Umpire Raja Arshad Hayat raising the arms. In speaking to Snigdha Paul's mother yesterday, and hopefully you were able to hear that on the air, her burning desire, meaning Snigdha, is to be the best woman cricketer on the planet, which I think is extremely high aspirations. Speaking of high, this one is high in the air, but it's going to land safely in between mid-on and mid-wicket, and they'll run through for two. Melanie Henry, I said earlier that that's one of her favorite scoring areas, and she was certainly targeting that boundary. Didn't hit it cleanly, really sort of got under it, so it went in the air, but luckily for her, it lands out of reach of anyone who could have caught her. So here is Snigdha Paul again. Bang, this goes in the same direction, and it's going to go for 4. So this one is a lot lower, a lot flatter. And she absolutely carves it away through mid-wicket for 4. So look out for Melanie Henry here. She's already up to 43 from 32. And as I said, I think she may be the one who is most likely to drag her team toward that 130 number, which ideally is maybe just at par. Because of the fact that they're feeling or playing with only 10, they may want more than that. Next delivery, lofted down the ground. This is going to be 6. What a clean strike. What an absolutely brilliant strike by Melanie Henry. She now goes up to 49. That is exactly the same area that she hit that 6 yesterday. And look where she drags this one from. I suspect, no, it's on the stumps. And just a clean strike through the line. And easy as you like, effortless. She is a really wonderful stroke maker. 6 more to the total. And all of a sudden, the captain is on the back foot. The captain with the ball in her hand, Snigdha Paul, looking in the same direction. That's going to be 4 more, I think. And yes, it does go for 4. So Melanie Henry on the charge, and she is at 50. She's now up to 53 from 34. Already 17 runs coming from this over, including 1 wide. Melanie Henry is on strike, and she has full license to go after the bowling here. And you get the sense that she's not done yet. We're at 122, so 130 is not only well and truly on the cards. I think they'd be looking for much more than that. 2 balls to come, and she's taking a liking here to Snigdha Paul's bowling. Bang, over extra cover this time. This may be close now. It's going to be cut off down at the boundary, so they only get 1. Oh, it's always exciting to see a player of Melanie Henry's stature on the go. And of course, with 8 wickets in hand, you get the sense that there's nothing that's going to prevent them from going after the bowling here. So 7 deliveries remaining in this innings. This is the last of this over. Lofted down the ground in the air, and it's going to be a single, I think. Yep, just 1. Cut off by mid-on, make that long on. Comes around and prevents the major damage. So the ball didn't go for 4, but 19 big runs coming from that over. The last 5 overs have yielded 50 runs. And so with 1 over to go, the score is 124 for 2. So 1 over remaining. The score is 124 for 2. And if you are looking to see where the options are in terms of scoring, I think you ignore all of that and just see ball, hit ball. This is going to be Aditi, who opened the bowling, is now coming back in for the last over. So far, her figures are 1 for 8 from 2 overs. And it is Hala Asmat on strike. Aditi left arm over, outside the line of off, looking for a bye, not able to steal that bye. Melanie Henry desperately wants to be back on strike, but that dot ball is very, very precious. You'll accept that every time if you are Aditi Praveen Kumar. 5 balls remaining in the innings. So you have a limited amount of time to get as many runs as possible. That's outside the line of off, and she plays a delicate late cut. I suspect that they'll only get one. In fact, never even once looking for the second run, because they want to make sure that these last 4 overs or last 4 balls are faced by Melanie Henry. She's on 54 from 35. Again, with full license, and I'm looking at her favorite scoring areas here, deep mid-wicket, and in that gap between deep mid-wicket and long on, there is no one in the deep, and so I suspect that that's the area she'll be targeting. There is a long on in place, and there is a deep square leg in place, but acres of room between those two. Left arm over the wicket. And this is a good delivery. That is an absolutely brilliant delivery. On the off-stump line, short of driving length. Not a lot that Melanie Henry could have done with that other than play it back to the bowler. So 3 deliveries into the last over, and she's only conceded 1 run, Aditi Praveen Kumar. So this is excellent, excellent bowling. So it's up to her now to finish strong. You've started the over well, but you have to finish strong. Keep that ball exactly where that last one was. And again, a similar type of delivery, not able to get any good contact on it. They'll run through for a single, but that's much less than they were looking for. For a split second, Melanie Henry wanted to remain on strike, even though the single was always there. You get the sense that she almost wanted to farm the bowling so that she stayed on strike, but ultimately decided that it made more sense to just take the easy single. But what that does is take her off of strike. Only 2 balls remaining in the innings. And this is played back down the ground. That's just going to be a single. So Melanie Henry has only 1 more opportunity to add to her total and to her team's total. Do they get to 130? It would require a 4 or a 6 from here. But this is really intelligent, accurate bowling by Aditi Praveen Kumar. And here she is bowling. Left arm over the wicket. Last ball of the innings. And she knocks her over. This is really good bowling. Absolute full credit to Aditi, who holds her nerve. And in her last over, the last over of the innings, only concedes 3 runs and takes the wicket, the big wicket of Melanie Henry. So tremendous bowling on her part. I have to say, looking at this replay, the previous 3 deliveries had been bang on target, exactly where you wanted it to be, just short of driving length. And then this one just a little bit fuller. Melanie Henry going across the line and loses her off stump. This is brilliant, absolutely brilliant bowling by this young left arm pacer. So the final score is 127 for 3. That is the end of the innings. Looking at the total score, Willow Breakers opening with Bhakti Shastri and Divya Saxena. Bhakti Shastri 18 from 27, Divya Saxena 15 from 10. Melanie Henry top scoring 55 from 38 before she was bowled off the last ball of the innings. And Hala Asmat providing support for her down the order with 13 from 16. The bowlers, best bowler easily Aditi Praveen Kumar, 3 overs, 2 for 11. And Srinidhi Sagiraju, none for 14 from her 1 over. Chinmahi Aruviselvand, 3 overs, 1 for 16. Meha Sivakumar, 2 overs, none for 17. And 1 over each for Aradhya and Anushka, 1 over each that each cost 12 runs. 3 overs by the captain Snigdha Paul, 3 overs cost 35, including her last over that went for 19 most of that from the bat of Melanie Henry. And then Giovanna Arras, one over that went for 10. So good bowling overall. They came back well after Melanie Henry's assault. And that leaves the game really anybody's game at this point. 127 for 3 is not a low score. And in order to overhaul that score, the MCA women are going to have to score 128. They have the firepower to do it, but it's also the case that the Willow Breakers are an experienced side with a lot of current and former international players. So they will, of course, be ready to fight as much as possible to get that number that they need. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. I would think maybe 5 or so minutes before we get back on the field for the remaining 15 overs of this match. For now, just taking a break from Prairie View. We'll be back shortly. Prairie View, my apologies. From Pearland, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Moosa Stadium in Pearland, Texas for the chase, where the MCA women, after having scored 100 and, in fact, the Willow Breakers, after having scored 127 runs, will be looking to defend that total against the MCA women. The openers for the MCA women are Shrutika Senthil and Giovanna Aras, the vice captain. And with the ball in hand is the former India professional player, Kirutika Subramaniam. Apologies. This is Brian Walters with you again. Small matter of 128 runs needed, and they need to score those runs at the rate of 8.53 and over. Obviously, much more than a run a ball. In fact, closer to a run, 1.5 runs a ball. But bearing in mind that there is a limited size in terms of the number of players, because they're operating with only 10. No, my apologies. They appear to have a full side, so they looks like they've maybe acquired a player from somewhere. But either way, we're inside the power play. The power play is the first 4 overs. Inside those first 4 overs, you can only have 2 fielders outside of the inner circle, a 30-yard inner circle that goes around the pitch. And those 2 fielders are at deep mid-wicket and deep point. This is outside off, and it bounces just a second time before it gets to the keeper. But luckily for Kirutika, didn't bounce a second time before it got to the batter, in which case that would have been a no ball. But still, 2 dot balls to start here, so good job on her part to keep going. And this one again outside the line of off, and again left alone. So 3 deliveries, 3 dots. Oh, my apologies. It appears that one of those was deemed to have been wide. So 3 deliveries, 2 dots and wide. So we still have 4 balls to go here in this first over. And looking to work this away. This Melanie Henry, quick to the ball, but not quick enough to stop a single. So the first run off the bat. Once again, the target is 128. So you need another 126 balls off of 87. I'm sorry, another 126 runs needed off 87 balls. And a lot of time in which to get it. Conditions are absolutely perfect. Just took a quick walk into the middle of the pitch between innings. The outfield is, if not absolutely dry, at least as dry as it's going to be. So conditions are much easier for batting now as compared to first thing this morning, when again it was very moist and very damp. And so batting is certainly easier now. So you would think that the chasing side may have the advantage, but obviously a lot needs to go in their way. And again, this is a very experienced team, the Willow Breakers, with a lot of talent in the field. And this is worked to backward square. That is Ritika Jayaswal, who comes across and is there to prevent major damage, but can't prevent that single from being run. So yet another single to the total. Field switching around. There's a left-hander and a right-hander on strike, so that's always very irritating for the fielding side. And then it also demands much more accuracy from the bowler, because you're having to switch your line to accommodate both the left-hander and the right-hander. Assuming you want to be an off-stump to both, and that causes you to be a little bit more judicious, and that can sometimes be the reason why your line is off, as it is there. Delivered well outside the line of off, and for the first or the second time in this over, umpire Hayat raises the arms. So another 2 balls to go here in the first over. Better ball, and it's cut to backward point. They run through for a single. And oh my, that's going to get away again, and they're going to get a second run. Melanie Henry, or at least the bowler, is going to be complaining because it appears as though the 2 sort of collided the runner and Melanie Henry herself, who was backing up, and that conceded a second run. In situations like that, I've seen where the bowler or the batter has chosen to not go for that second run, even with the live ball, because she acknowledges that she's the one who caused that bit of a fumble. But the reaction or the reality is it's still a live ball. And once again, another bit of controversy as the ball ricochets off of the non-striker and goes down to long on for a single. So Melanie Henry also complaining about that one. But yes, these are live balls. And if the batter chooses to not run, then that's their right. But if they want to run, it's an absolute legal ploy. And it's a live ball, even if it deflected inadvertently off of the bowler. So off of the runner. So that's the end of the first over. 7 runs come from it. Another 121 runs needed in the next 84 balls. 7 without loss. Seven without loss, that first over from Kirutika Subramaniam going for those 7 runs. And so now the bowling will be taking up from the Pearland end. This appears to be Divya Saxena. Thank you for the assist, Mr. Ranjit Singh. This ball full outside the line of off and it goes through for a dot ball. Divya Saxena, current Canadian player, bowling quick off spin. That is a great delivery, bang on target, and an appeal for LBW. Umpire Talat looking at Hyatt. Umpire Hyatt taking a good hard look at that one, but eventually deciding that that was not out. That is a good piece of umpiring. I think it was full, but it might just have been drifting down the leg side. Tossed up and played to wide mid-on, and they get a quick single. So the first runs off the bat off of Divya Saxena's bowling. And now for the first time, she'll be bowling to the left-handed Giovanna Arras. So the fielders in the deep are at deep square leg and deep point. So both fielders in the deep are square of the wicket. So for me, that means she's going to be bowling a short of length type of length. Now this one, she pushes through quickly, played into the covers. That's going to be a single throw. I'll tell you what. Oh, had that throw been collected, I think that finds the runner short by 3 yards. That was Shrutika Senthil trying desperately to get to the striker's end. And if we can see a replay on that, I'm thinking that she would have been out either if that had been a direct hit or if that ball had been collected and the stumps knocked down. But either way, she lives to fight another day. That could very well have been out, but she's still there. Quicker and now down the leg side. So another wide. My goodness, this was a really good piece of bowling. The previous delivery anyway. This next one going too far down the leg side. That's a good ball. Right on the target and defended in front of the stumps by Shrutika. So just one ball remaining here in the second. Bang! On target, and the off stump is knocked back. That is a good piece of bowling. She has been full and she has been at the stumps. Maybe one or two a little too straight, but this one is bang on target. And that is the end of Shrutika Senthil. Here we see on the replay coming up right now. You'll see this ball right in the block hole, absolutely full. And she plays all around it. And that off stump is knocked back. So the first wicket goes. Shrutika Senthil is there for exactly 2 overs. Unfortunately for her, she has to go because a good piece of bowling by Divya Saxena sees the back of her. So she scores Shrutika 5 from 10 before she's bowled by Divya Saxena. And now this is Chinmahi Aruva Sullivan coming out to join the vice captain Giovanna Arras. The score after 2 is 10 for 1. So here we go again. Karuthika Subramanian in for her second over. Right arm around the wicket, bowling to the left-hander. That's too far down the leg side, and that's going to be 4 runs. That line well down the leg side from around the wicket. You're operating with a small margin of error because anything that's too straight offers the opportunity or affords the opportunity for the left-hander to hit in that exact direction. And this time, all that Giovanna needed to do was help it around the corner, and it races away through fine leg for 4. So that is her first boundary. She's now 6 from 3. And still operating around the wicket here is Krutika Subramanian. Again down the leg side, hit in the air, and it gets through the fielder at mid-wicket. And they run through for a single. So for me, just a touch too straight for those first 2 deliveries. The first one well down the leg side and put away for 4. And this one, in theory, could have been caught, but also I think you'll do better off as a bowler if you target that off-stump line as opposed to anything going down leg. So that brings Chinmahi on strike, facing her first delivery. Loopy delivery through the air and just defended back to the bowler for no run. Next delivery, short, and it is hit in the air, going to be over the head of that fielder running back from mid-off and runs away for 4. So a loose delivery, very short, and really providing the opportunity for Chinmahi to get under that one and elevate it. A pretty straightforward opportunity there. That ball is helped over the top of mid-off for the first 4 for Chinmahi. So she's now faced 2 deliveries, and that is her first scoring stroke. She does it with a boundary. Chinmahi in the National Women's Cricket League, 2 matches as this ball is outside the line of off, not punished by being signaled wide, so it's just a dot ball. 2 matches in the National Women's Cricket League, 44 runs from 31 balls, an average of 44, which means that she was not out. Strike rate of 141.94, so she can hit the ball. And this is skied but catchable. Who wants it? Oh, did not call. The bowler should have had it. Should have called off that fielder coming in from short extra cover. But they do not communicate, and it results in the simplest of catches going down. That's going to be disappointing. That really should have been a wicket, but it ends up just being a single. Here you see on the replay. Ball stays in the air for an eternity. And both of them were right there. The bowler herself should have taken that one, and by right should have called off that fielder coming in from extra cover. So that is a bit of a fumble. You're not going to like to see that if you are the Willow Breakers. You cannot afford to have miscues in the field because you're defending a total that maybe for me is slightly below par. But that's the end of 3. The score is 20 for 1. So Divya Saxena back into action. This is driven down to mid-on. In fact, they started to think about a single, but then changed their mind. So that is a good dot ball to start things here in the fourth. Divya Saxena's first over, really good over, conceded 3 runs and took a wicket. So she'll be looking to do more of the same. Loopy in the air, and that is going to be called a no ball. Umpire Yuvraj Singh signaling as such. They run through for a single. So more to the point, it's a no ball, a single, and importantly, a free hit for this next delivery. So this is not a good start to the over this time by Divya Saxena. With the change in batters, the field can change. So had it been the same batter on strike, the field would have had to remain the same. Looking to advance down the wicket, uses her feet well and strikes it through the covers for 4. That is a good-looking shot. Of course, no concern with coming down, skipping down the wicket. Generally, Divya Saxena is a bowler who bowls quicker through the air, so it's difficult to use your feet to get to the pitch off of her. But number 1, it was a free hit, so she could not have been stumped. And then number 2, you have all the freedom in the world to play that type of shot. And you absolutely get to the point where you get that 4. So you'll take that if you are the captain, Giovanna Aras. Now this next ball is outside the line of off. A wave and a miss. So this is good work in terms of the comeback. It's a good comeback, a better delivery that time. Outside of that full toss above waist height, she's bowled very well, Divya Saxena. But it's going to be up to her now to keep everything sharp, to make sure that none of those errors reveal themselves. It's a quick, thought about a quick single, but it was hit directly to Janae Basson, who's very quick and a very agile fielder. Jumps all over that and fires that throw back in. So no run there. So just 2 balls remaining now in the fourth. 26 for 1 is the score. Looks for the big swipe and misses. The left-hander targeting that area over wide mid-wicket, not able to get to it. So just 1 ball remaining, and all of a sudden the noose is tightening just a bit. The run rate is down to 6.78, and the required rate is now above 9. It's 9.13. Full and driven right back to the bowler herself, fields to her own bowling, and that is no run. A very good over despite the boundary as a result of the free hit. Still only 6 runs conceded from that over. That is the end of the power play, so you can be a lot more defensive now if you'd like, if you are the Willow Breakers. And the score 26 for 1 means that they need the MCA women another 102 in the next 66 balls. So game on here. You anticipate that they'll be a little bit more aggressive coming to the back end of this innings. Still another 11 overs to go. And 102 runs to get in 66 balls. I suspect that this is going to be a pretty interesting chase. So new bowler coming from the Massey Ranch Road end. This is going to be Bhakti Shastri. Right arm seamer. And looking to bowl now to Chinmahi. Chinmahi Ruviselva, and 6 from 6. Giovanna Aras, 11 from 9. Those are the 2 at the wicket for the MCA women. And then looking to prevent anything big from being scored with the ball in hand is Bhakti Shastri. Bhakti Shastri, 11 matches overall, 3 wickets in those 11 matches, and in the T20 circuit with the ball in hand. I'll say more after this delivery. Outside off, and it's stroked through the covers. That's going to run away for 4. That's what I meant when I said that conditions were going to be better for batting in the second half of this match, because that's just a proper extra cover drive, and the ball races, absolutely races across the carpet for 4. So now some discussion among the senior players as to how to set that offside field, because that was a pretty big gap. A ball between mid-off and cover, racing through that extra cover region, and now adjustments are being made to make sure that that type of shot does not occur again. So back to Shastri with the ball in hand, 11 matches, 21 overs, 3 for 117 are her figures, so an average of 39 means necessarily that she's not a wicket taker as such, but an economy rate of 5.57 means that if everyone in this match bowled at an economy rate of 5.57, it's fair to say that the Willow Breakers would win this match very easily. So you like her economy rate. In this form of cricket, you don't necessarily need to be a wicket taker. You just need to restrict runs. This is outside the line of off and going to be a wide. So back to Shastri, bowling now to Chinmahi, up to 10 from 7. Giovanna Ras, 11 from 9. This is powered around the corner, but directly to short fine. And it's shy at the stumps from down there is not successful, so not able to concede that run from being scored. Oh, Giovanna Ras is back on strike. And back to Shastri now, bowling around the wicket, looking to spear that ball in, I would think, towards the stumps. But again, she's going to have to be very careful, because anything that's too straight prevents scoring opportunities. This is lofted in the air, nobody out there, and in fact, it goes all the way for 6. So I want to see a replay on that. My suspicion is that that angle from around the wicket, as you see here, loopy, and it offers the opportunity to Giovanna Ras to just loft that ball. It provides that type of room for her to play that shot. So I really do think that an over-the-wicket angle is better for the right-hander to the left-hander. But we will see. What she has in mind is probably different from what we're thinking. Again, another delivery that is aimed at just as a big inside edge, and it runs down to short fine, and it goes for a double. So runs all of a sudden are coming thick and fast. And you're going to have to be a lot more careful if you are back to Shastri, because all of a sudden you've given up 14 runs in your first over, and you still have 2 balls to go. Sliced off the edge, and a simple catch, and it is dropped at backward point. And not only is it dropped, not only do they take a single, but I think that ball may have struck that fielder in an uncomfortable place. Appears to have been her shoulder. And so sliced off the outside edge, and she's right there and does not take the catch. So I'd want to see the replay on that from up close. I don't think we have that capability today with the camera work, but insult to injury as she gets, I think, hit with that ball in an uncomfortable place. It might have been the shoulder blade, but either way, it's a drop and another single. And so for me, for the left-hander, who it appears she likes playing on the leg side. And here we see, there's a replay again. And watch here, it is in the air, and then, yeah, that either hit her on the shoulder or on the head. This is lofted in the air, catchable, but nobody's going to be there. And the bowler herself runs back and picks it up on the edge of the circle. Good camera work. Thank you for the guys in the camera booth for being able to point that out. But at the end of all of that, a very eventful over. A couple of catching opportunities, including one that you would think would have to be taken. But 16 big runs come from that over. And that pushes the MCA women much further, or closer toward potential victory. They need another 86 runs in the next 60 balls, scoring at the rate of 8.6. So a long way to go, but that over, I think, did them a world of good, the MCA women. And the Willow Breakers have some thinking to do. 42 for 1. So a new bowler into the attack. This is Melanie Henry, bowling from the Pearland end. Melanie Henry, you saw what she could do with the bat earlier. Scored a very nice 50 in good time at a healthy strike rate. Melanie Henry, a good, solid all-rounder. And so with the bat, she scored 55 from 38 with 7 fours and 1 6. But that's over with. She's now going to be asked to pull things back after a very expensive over, 16 runs coming from that last over. Here she is. Good delivery outside the line of off stump. Has Chinmahi fishing forward and not making contact. That's a good start. Melanie Henry, of course, I think probably better known as a batter, hitter of the cricket ball, but bowls very good off spin. This is stroked through the offside for a single. And in terms of her prowess with the ball in hand, Melanie Henry, in 19 matches, has taken 19 wickets. So she is operating at the rate of 1 wicket every match, an average of 23.43. So that's a great average. That's hit to short mid wicket for no run. In 7 matches, 100. I'm sorry, that was her batting average. Bowling, in fact, her bowling average is better than that. Her bowling average is 18, 72 runs conceded and 4 wickets. Looking big. That's going to be clipped through backward square. Janae Basson is after it. She will get there without much fuss, but strong throw to the keeper's end does not prevent 2 runs from being run. So again, with the ball in hand, Melanie Henry in the National Women's Cricket League, 4 wickets, 72 runs, so an average of 18. Economy rate is excellent, 3.1. And a strike rate of 34.8 means that she takes a wicket once every 35 or so balls. This is good work on her part. I think it's less about the wickets that she takes now and more about containing the runs. But this one is driven down the ground. That struck well and runs away for 4. So that is a good shot played by Giovanna Aras. She's now up to 26 from 15. And all of a sudden the score racing along to 49 with 1 ball remaining here in the 6th. You're wanting to make sure that you close this one out strongly because you're really at the stage now where you need to keep these batters quiet. And that's a good stop to her own bowling by Melanie. That is the end of the 6th over. Relatively frugal, even in the context of her having conceded a boundary off the 5th ball of the over. Only gives up 7 runs. So 7 runs, the current score 49.1, means that there is going to need to be another 8.78 runs scored in order to get to the total that they need. Another 79 runs needed in the next 54 balls. We'll be right back. So Divya Saxena to continue. Her first 2 overs went for 9 runs. Really good bowling on her part. And now, of course, with a 15-over match, each bowler is limited to 3 overs. So this is Divya's last over. The first ball played into the offside and it runs away through the covers for 4. So the fielder sweeping on the offside had some work to do to run to her right to get that. And Divya Saxena is not happy with the effort shown by that fielder in the deep, because she does concede that boundary. In fairness, that ball was hit well, and it was hit in an area that required some work. Now you see the offside field being strengthened. That's Janae Basson coming over from mid-wicket to field in the covers. So in that spot where that ball just went, anything played in that direction will be cleaned up by Janae Basson, who is an excellent fielder. A couple of really good fielders in this side, despite the fact that the average age on this team, the Willow Breakers, is above the age of the fielders or the players in the rest of the tournament. This is a little too straight, and it's clipped to backward square leg for 2, and they'll come back for 3, and in fact make it pretty easily. So a relatively expensive start. 2 balls have yielded 7 runs. So for me, the best fielders in the side are going to be Janae Basson and Bhakti Shastri. Based on what I've seen from them in the field, I think those are your 2 best options. So I would suspect that you'd see both of them in the hot zones where you'd expect for the balls to be going. Right now, there's work to be done, though, because this ball has to be in the right area. This is played off the back foot. This is going to be at least 2 more. Long sprint by that fielder at deep extra cover. And another easy 2. So runs coming thick and fast. The first 3 deliveries in this over have yielded 9 runs. At this stage, you're needing to score at the rate of 8.92, in fact, 8.24 per over to win. So as of right now, they're well ahead of that rate. They're scoring overall at the rate of 9 and over, almost 8.92. And so they have the run rate well and truly in hand. And with 9 wickets in hand, you'd think that there is an option for them to be able to push in that direction without much trouble. This is played into the outfield for a single. Singles certainly would be what you're looking for. Dot balls even better if you're the Willow Breakers. 2 balls remaining here in the 7th. After this, another 8 overs to go. So you're going to need to make sure that you continue to hopefully bowl balls that you're forcing the batters to score off of. In other words, you're asking the right questions. You don't want to give anything too full or too short or on the wrong line. This is better. This is forced into the covers. Quick throw. Not going to be in time, but you'll accept these singles. Singles, if the required rate is above 6, which it is, singles are not going to hurt you. In fact, the single makes the required rate go up. But what you're going to have to do is cut off these boundary balls, and you're going to have to make sure that if they score, they're scoring in singles. Anything 2 or more per ball is what will help them. This is outside the line of off, and it is a dot ball. Let's this one go through, Giovanna Aras. That's the end of the over. That is the end of the spell from Divya Saxena. 11 runs come from that over. So her figures for the day, 1 for 20 from 3 overs. That is the end of 7. The score is 60 for 1. Once again, as the players take a short water break, we are pleased to bring you the National Women's Cricket League Houston Women's T20 Championship 2023, courtesy of SMK Global and iStrive Technologies. SMK Global, Avni and Abhijit Patel, and iStrive Technologies, featuring Padma and Sudhakar Kanumuri. Those are your main sponsors, and again, without them, this tournament does not happen. So thank you to both SMK Global and iStrive Technologies. Just a quick rundown of where we are in the overall game while we wait for the players to resume. The Willow Breakers were inserted into bat. MCA women won the toss, and Captain Snigdha Paul chose to field first, which is a very expected decision given how wet it was to start this match. Willow Breakers putting up a decent target, maybe just a hair under what Captain Delkash Shariarian wanted. She said that she wanted a score of around 130. The Willow Breakers end up with 127 for 3. Back to Shastri, 18. Divya Saxena, 15. And then Melanie Henry was the main destroyer with the bat, 55 from 38, 7 fours and a 6. And in response, so far after 7 overs, MCA women are 60 for 1. Giovanna Aras opening the batting. She's 29 from 19, looking very aggressive and looks to go big in that arc between long on and mid wicket. 3 fours and a 6. Shrutika Senthil was dismissed relatively early, 5 from 10. And Chinmahi Arivuselvan, my apologies, 21 from 14 with 3 fours. So ready to keep going. This is going to be Melanie Henry to continue. Her first over went for 7. And she will be bowling to Chinmahi Arivuselvan. So just looking at the field, there's a deep mid-wicket. There's a deep point. There is long on, in fact, long off, sort of halfway between the boundary and the 30-yard circle. Actually now back on the boundary, and long off also back on the boundary. So long on and long off back on the boundary. And Captain Delkash behind the stumps, directing traffic, making sure that everybody knows where they are. Only another 68 runs needed to defend and 48 balls. Good delivery played into the covers, but they'll get an easy single. Covers, or the fielder at cover, is back on the rope or back on the circle. And so the ball hit in that direction pretty much will always result in a single if they want it. So 1 off the first ball. Melanie Henry now bowling to Giovanna Aras, 29 from 19. Played to that same fielder, this time at mid-wicket because it's the left-hander on strike. And it is a single. And if umpire Yuvraj Singh at square leg has not yet gotten his steps in, he will certainly get them after this match, because doing the right thing as a square leg umpire, if there's a left-hander and a right-hander, you have to switch to square leg for each delivery if there is an odd number of runs scored. In the air for a while, fumbled and hit directly to Janae Bassan, takes a shot at the non-striker's end and misses, and then they'll concede an extra run because that throw was not collected by Melanie Henry. So just for a split second it was in the air, didn't quite carry to Janae Bassan, and she did well to smother it to keep from ricocheting away, then took a shy at the non-striker's end, but the ball not collected cleanly and it goes through for a double. I mentioned that Janae Bassan is a very good fielder. Took a pretty ugly blow on her knee, the inside of her knee, yesterday. So just in order to see her fielding in that position as of right now, I think it's still a testament to the type of athlete that she is. This one fired down the leg side though, and another wide. I haven't had a whole lot of wides. By my count, unofficially, that's been the 6th wide of the innings. That's 9% of the runs for the innings rather coming in wides, and that was struck in the air. Boy, I'll tell you, directly to the bowler who had an opportunity to catch it, didn't catch it. Ball ricocheting then in the direction of Jenny Bassa, and the throw to the keeper's end, not in time. Looking at this replay, Melanie Henry is going to want to have taken this, hit in the air to her left. Not an easy catch. She's right-handed, and it was going away to her left and dying on her. But I think she'll tell you that she would have thought she could have taken that. Next delivery. Good delivery, but stroked into the offside. That may go to the boundary. No, good work down there in the deep to cut that off. The fielder sweeping in the covers. They run across and get two. But boy, an option or an opportunity there for a wicket for the stand to have been broken. The stand now worth some 58 runs. They came together at the fall of the first wicket when the score was 10. Looking to work this away. Appeal for LBW. Not given. And that is the end of the over. And we see on the replay again. See what umpire Hyatt saw, and I think that's the right decision. Easily, I think that ball pitches outside leg. You cannot be given out LBW if the ball pitches outside of the line of leg stump. So that is good bowling. I don't know if we have the ability to see that again, but this is for anyone who fancies the job of umpiring. It is not an easy one. There's a lot that you have to keep in mind. And if we were able to see that replay again, you could see easily that that ball pitched outside the line of leg stump. So regardless of whatever happens, whether or not it would have hit, whether or not the batter was playing a shot, none of that matters if the ball is pitching outside the line of leg stump. So good piece of umpiring there. So that is the end of the over. At the end of 8, the score is 68 for 1. And into the attack for the first time is vice captain and all-rounder from South Africa, Jenny Basson. A live wire in the field, a very competent batter, but right now she's going to be asked to bowl a handful of economical overs because as of right now, the required rate is 8.57, which by no means is difficult. And then the fact that they have 9 wickets in hand means that as you get closer towards the back end of this innings, you can expect that this pair that has been together now for a 58-run partnership, you'd expect that they'd be a little bit more enterprising. So first delivery, slower through the air, hit into that extra cover region. That's fielded by Ritika Jayaswal. Good start to the over by Janae. So you need a handful more of those dot balls to start creating some pressure. Next delivery, tossed up, and it's hit in the air, catchable, but nobody is there. Coming off the boundary at deep mid-wicket is back to Shastri. And as I said, I think she is one of the better fielders in the side along with Janae Basson, but not even she could have gotten to that one. So just a single. And this, for me, is an interesting matchup. This is going to be a left-handed aggressive hitter against the medium pace / off spin of Janae Basson. So this ball needs to be outside the line of off stump. I think she's doing well by staying over the wicket to create that angle. That's the best way to find the edge, the outside edge of the bat. And this is in the air, catchable, down the ground. Oh, it is dropped. Another drop results in a boundary. Oh, had she stayed back on the boundary. This is Divya Saxena. As she stayed back on the boundary, I think that lands safely in her lap. This is sliced down the ground. I mentioned that angle over the wicket is probably the best way to find the outside edge, and that was a bit of an outside edge, more so a well hit, but still off the outer edge of the bat. And this is pulled massively towards deep mid-wicket. That's good work down there in the deep to prevent they're only able to score 1 run. But for me, that outside or that angle right arm over the wicket to the left-hander is a much better one that creates more opportunities. She is very strong, Giovanna Aras, playing down the ground and particularly between long off and mid-wicket. So if you create that angle going across her, then you're more likely to create catching opportunities, which is what happened in the last delivery. Full toss in the air, another catching opportunity, nobody there. Landing perfectly between Janae Basson and in fact, between her and Divya Saxena coming in off the boundary. So this ball has eyes and is able to land in between all the fielders all at once. So few opportunities being created in this over, but as of yet, no wicket. And Janae Basson again to continue bowling to Giovanna Aras. Short, and this is powered away in the deep. That's going to go for 6. So just dropping that last one a little too short. Janae Basson and Giovanna Aras pouncing all over it for the second 6 of her innings. And that all of a sudden pushes the score onto 81. So at the end of the over, as you see here on the replay, just a little too short and powered away over mid-wicket for the second 6 of her innings, the first 6 of the over, and 13 runs total coming from it. Could have had a wicket in that over, but instead they yield 13 runs. The partnership now worth some 71 runs. A really good partnership. Giovanna Aras, 43 from 25, and Chinmahi Aruviselvan, oh my goodness, I am so sorry, Chinmahi. But she's up to 27 from 20. Scoring rate is 9. They only need to score from here at the rate of 7.8 and over. And so a lot of work needed to do here by the Willow Breakers to get back into this match. And this is going to be Melanie Henry for her last over. So this is the stage of the innings where you want all of the best bowlers, those who still have overs left anyway, to give you 6 good balls. All you're asking for is 6 balls on off stump, either Yorker length or just short of driving length. Lofted in the air, catchable, and oh, what a great attempt by that fielder. I think that's Divya Saxena running around. This is going to be a potential run-out opportunity, but not getting it. But this is great work. This is the effort that you want to see in the field. And lofted, see the fielder coming in, a diving attempt in front of her and to her right, not able to get to it. That is great work, and thank you for that camera replay. That was very, very helpful. Next delivery in the air and over the top of short mid-wicket and will run away for 4. So they've turned on the afterburners now, the MCA women. Score now ticking up to 87. They only need another 41 runs from 34 balls. So it's the equation is certainly swinging in their direction, the MCA women. And as of now, you're looking to, if you are the MCA women, looking to just keep going along the same vein that you are right now. You don't need to take any chances. I think the run rate is well and truly under control. And with 9 wickets in hand, including the captain and probably their best batter, Snigdha Paul, to come, you don't need to do anything crazy. This is fumbled, hit into the offside, and that little bit of a fumble results and yet another run being scored. So runs are coming thick and fast. Already 7 from this over with 3 more balls to come. And the last 5 overs, make that the last 4 overs and 3 balls, have already yielded 46 runs. So you're scoring almost at the rate of 10 and over effectively just from the last 4 overs and 3 balls. So my goodness, you're going to want to pull things back if you're the Willow Breakers. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like anything that they're doing right now is working. Look out for the big hitting here from Giovanna Arras, who's on 43 from 25. Big swipe and a miss. Good length. That's the type of length that you want to bowl. You either want to be at that length right in the block hole, or you want to be just short of a length. But even to her, she has such good reach and is very tall, probably about 6 feet tall, that you're not going to be able to prevent her from using those long levers. So the better option is to get it all the way up in the block hole. She plays this one just wide of long on for a single. So just another delivery remaining here in the 10th over. One more. Once again, this is a really productive partnership. It is now worth 79 runs. They came together at the fall of the first wicket when 10 runs were on the board. Going big and clearing short mid wickets. That is good work in the deep. I think that's Divya Saxena out there. Come back for the second, and they'll get there pretty easily. So 2 more runs. That is yet another expensive over. 10 runs coming from it. The last 5 overs have yielded 49 runs at the end of 10. The score is 91 for 1. So we're into the back end of this match. Just another 37 runs needed for the MCA women. And once again, a truly outstanding partnership underway between Giovanna Arras, 44 from 27, and Chinmahi Arivoselvan, 36 from 24. So they've put on 81 runs. An unbeaten partnership so far. They've been batting together now for 8 overs. Tremendous, tremendous partnership. And now this is going to be Janae Basson again bowling from the Massey Ranch Road end. And she'll be bowling to Giovanna Arras. Staying over the wicket. There's a fielder in the deep at mid-wicket. There's a long on, a long off, and a deep extra cover. And this is on the ground. Down to long on for a single. So in theory, a single doesn't hurt, but with each single, you get the sense that the confidence of these two keeps growing, and there is a certain amount of frustration that seeps in also, because with constant switching left-hander and right-hander, and the bowlers having to adjust their lines after each delivery, it's not easy. Next delivery, short of a length, looking to pull this away and missing out on what likely was an easy scoring opportunity, because there's nobody in the deep behind square on the leg side, and had any amount of bat been gotten on that would have run away for 4, I think. But you can probably make the argument that Janae Basson has gotten away with 1 there. So another 36 runs needed in 28 balls. Tossed up and lofted in the air. Very catchable. Who wants it? It is put down once again. It stayed in the air for a really long time. And boy, I tell you, very, very catchable, that one. And of all the catches that have been dropped today, that's probably the one that most easily should have been taken. But it does go down as yet another drop. Tossed up and clipped to deep mid-wicket for a single. So that doesn't make Janae Basson feel any better. It certainly doesn't make the captain, Dilkash Shariarian, feel any better, because these are opportunities that if you're defending a total that's relatively low, You're going to have to hold on to every single opportunity. Full toss, lofted. A second opportunity for a catch. No, they did not go for it this time. Just sort of backed off and let it land. So that is yet another single. Score now ticking up to 96. And once again, this is Giovanna Arras, who is one stroke away from her 50. She's 46 from 29. Better length, fuller, and it's knocked down to deep mid wicket for a single. Now just one ball remaining here in the 11th. You still only need another 31 runs. 31 runs needed from 25 balls. So the required rate still above 7.44. Slower through the air, lofted. Another catching opportunity. No, it's going to run all the way for 4. The fielder at deep mid-wicket could not make it around in time. And there is a fielder at mid-wicket, but she's inside the circle. That is Ritika Jayaswal. And the ball racing across the ground for yet another boundary. So with that boundary, that takes the total number of runs in the over to 10. And that reduces the number of runs needed to 27. And runs required is rapidly approaching balls remaining. So 27 runs required, 24 balls remaining. That tells you that the run rate, the required run rate, is well and truly under control. So just another 27 runs needed. 11 overs up. The score is 101 for 1. So 101 for 1. Partnership now worth some 91 runs. What a brilliant partnership this is. It's the match-winning type of partnership. This is going to be Hala Asmat bowling from the Pearland end. Oh, swipe and a miss, and appeal for stumping, and she's gone. This is a tossed-up delivery. Hala Asmat inducing Giovanna Arras to come down the wicket, go for the big drive, missing. And all of a sudden, with that piece of stumping, maybe it just took a little bit longer to develop than ordinary because not a clean collection by Delcash. But there, good work. And she's back. She was back looking at where she's standing. She's standing well back of the crease as opposed to right in front of the, or right next to the stumps. And so she had to take a couple steps to come to the wicket to complete the stumping. But she does get to the point where she does that without much fuss. And so an easy decision for umpire Yuvraj Singh at square leg to make. So the second wicket goes down. The big partnership is broken. There might have been several opportunities to break it before that, though, because a number of catches have been dropped. But you do take the wickets when you can. And so a wicket goes down every time a partnership is broken. Then you have the opportunity to sort of reset and get back into the game because the partnership was worth some 81 runs. It has now been broken. And now this new batter coming in is Shreya Arora. Shreya Arora is a right-handed batter. And she's now going to be facing up to Hala Asmat. Hala Asmat, with the first ball in her spell, has taken a wicket. That's definitely something you want to see. You want to see your senior players do exactly that. So Hala, is one of the better international players around. Played for the Canadian national team was adjudged to have been the most valuable player in a recently concluded America's or SEC America's tournament. Tossed up and defended back to the bowler herself. Bit of a fumble, but no harm done. And so 2 dot balls to start her spell, including 1 wicket. So you absolutely will take that from her. And look what it does to the required rate. Now back up to 7.36. And you can track that number at the bottom right of your screen. That RRR, that's required run rate, 7.36. Ideally, if you are the MCA women, you want that number to be coming down. If you are the Willow Breakers, you want that number to be going up. Because now they need another 27 runs, the MCA women, from the last 22 balls of this match. Slower through the air and forced into that cover area for no run. These dot balls are precious. 3 dot balls in a row. And definitely going to be having some pressure being built. You want to be able to build that pressure. And that 3 dot balls and a wicket certainly has the chance of doing that. Looking to go off the back foot, hit into the covers, underhand throw to the non-strikers, and had she been able to collect that Hala Asmat, that may well have been another run out. And I am so absolutely thrilled to be joined once again here in the commentary booth. So I'm not talking by myself all this time, by Meera Subramaniam. Good morning, Meera.
Good morning, Brian. A very good, nice, shiny morning.
Oh, it looks so much better than it did first thing this morning. Oh, lofted in the air, catchable. Janae Basson, I think, is there. Oh, drops it. Had the time and the throw coming into the non-striker's end. Is not going to be in time, and in fact that may have just hurt the bowler herself trying to field that ball. Look at this. Talk us through what happened here.
Oh, wow. This was a wonderful catch which was coming right to Janae, I think, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I think she is in the mid-off position, deep, but unfortunately she just dropped the catch, and here comes the bowler again to bowl, and a short ball up in the air, but there's no one there to take the call of the ball. The catch.
To take the call.
Are
you at work?
I am serious. I'm serious. I've been just, since 6 o'clock, I've been on the phone. So it's like call is coming right through. I apologize. Brian, you caught me right there.
I'm not going to miss that. That's a half volley on leg stump, Meera. I'm sorry. I'm going to clip those away.
You caught me red-handed.
So, Meera, 23 runs needed, 18 balls in which to get them. A required rate of 7.67. Where's your money?
Wow, this is a tough one. I think the fielders have to be really, they got to be tough on the field. Cannot, under any circumstances, miss any catches, any, runouts or anything like that. I think that they have to now really work hard, put pressure on the batters, and see what they can do. But yes, it's a 50-50, cricket is a game of surprises, right? So,
well, a catch taken here, a fumble chance there, a run-out opportunity missed, a stumping taken. All of these things can swing the game potentially one way or another tremendously, particularly at this stage of the innings where they only need 23 from 18. So if you are the Willow Breakers, you're going to have to be on top of your game. A number of drop catches so far, by my count, at least 3. And so if you take your opportunities, you have to think that you're going to be able to at least put pressure or at least make MCA women work for this victory, which is what you want to have happen. If you don't take the opportunities or take the catches when they come, then you sort of, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely. I'm right with you on that. I see some field positions being moved at this moment, giving some pressure on the batters, I see. How are you, Brian? How are you holding up, being alone here?
Look, put it this way. Anytime that anyone can come in and to help share the load. It is so much more difficult to commentate by yourself. I will say that. It is absolutely difficult. And you find yourself trying to find things to say or coming up with stats from some tournament played 10 years ago just to be able to keep talking. But when there's two people, it becomes so much easier.
Fabulous job you're doing. What can I say?
Oh,
you are the man here.
You are so wonderful for saying that. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure to hear outside when I'm sitting with my team and listening to you. So
thank you. So Janae Basson now bowling her last over. Her first 2 overs went for 23. 2 different opportunities in her once in each of her first 2 overs where a catch was dropped off of her. So she could very easily have had 2 wickets. And this is in the air. Deep mid wicket. Should just be 1. Nope, they're coming back for the second. Throw coming into the keeper's end. That's going to be close. And umpire Yuvraj Singh with his arms at his sides indicating that they did make that run. I didn't think that they'd go for the second run. That was a lot closer than you would have thought.
I think they are trying to be safer and trying to run because right now I think runs is on their mind to see how they can keep it moving, right? So I think she did the right thing. I think you have to also judge as to how the fielders, outside fielders can throw and what the distance is.
You can see here, talk us through that replay. Woo. There's the importance of sliding your bat. I want you to say more about that, but this is a catch. Struck in the air, and the catch is taken by Ritika Jayaswal at mid-off. How much of a difference does that make? That was struck well, and it results in a wicket. A big, big wicket. Chinmahi dismissed 47 from 30, but the third wicket goes down. The score is 107 for 3.
Pressure on now again on the team. We'll have to see as to how she can, from the get-go, start making runs. I think that's going to be crucial for them. And the batter coming in is... Who's the batter, Brian? I'm trying to see.
The batter is... We'll see who that is. If I'm not mistaken, it would be... It's not the captain, I don't think. That is going to be Shreya Arora. No, she's already at the wicket. And that is, in fact, Snigdha Paul. That is the captain coming in. So, 1 brings 2, the oldest rule in cricket. So, a big partnership of 81 runs was broken. And then each of the members of that partnership has now been dismissed. But this brings to the wicket the person who I think is the best batter in this side, the captain herself, Snigdha Paul. And 107 for 3, just another 21 runs needed. But it's going to require leadership and a calm head because 21 runs in 16 balls is not necessarily difficult, but a lot trickier with 2 new batters at the crease.
Very true, Brian. I see that. But with Snigdha being there on the field and being an experienced player, I think she knows what the pressure is and what she needs to do to get it going. So let's see a very good game here.
We'll go through her numbers shortly. Oh, that ball is down the leg side, easy as you like. Any batter worth their salt can cash in on those types of deliveries. So this is going to be a delivery that Janae Basson would have wanted on the off stump, going well down the leg side. Easy pickings for a batter of Snigdha's capabilities. So Snigdha Paul in the National Women's Cricket League, 24 matches, 268 runs and 13 wickets. 268 runs. In the T20 circuit, 188 runs, average of 23.5. And a strike rate of 83 with a high score of 71.
Whoa, so that's impressive.
She's an absolutely brilliant batter. And I'll tell you something else after this ball. Full toss, and that's going to go for 6. Absolutely blasted over the top of mid-wicket. I think umpire Halat is waiting to confirm, and there is a confirmation from the fielder out there on the boundary. So a 4 and a 6 absolutely takes all of the pressure off of the MCA women. With 2 strokes, the captain has put the pressure right back squarely on the shoulders of the Willow Breakers.
That was a beautiful sixer. And, you know, with Snigdha on the strongest, so strong on the left bowler coming into bowl. No run taken.
So Snigdha's mother, we had a conversation with her yesterday on air, and she said that Snigdha's goal is to be the best woman cricketer in the world. What do you think about that?
Wow. There have been a lot of people who are in that category. So if that's the aim, that's wonderful.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
Why not, right?
My goodness, yes. That is absolutely tremendous.
There have been so many people with that credentials from all over the world. So that is a big task, but, you know, it's doable. Nothing is impossible, right?
So I'll put you on the spot.
Oh, no, Brian. Not early in the morning.
Well, by
course,
my clock,
please.
it is now 12:01, so it's no longer early in the morning. You don't get to use that as an excuse anymore.
Oh, well,
Tell
okay.
me your best 3 or 4 women cricketers, either currently playing or in the past.
You know, I'm so biased. I'm going to go with the Indian players.
Of course you are.
And my own guru is going to be Shanta Rangaswamy.
Okay.
Yeah, she's one of the players whom I admire, and I also have been a good friend of hers, even after I left cricket, and that is one. I would say Diana Adalji.
Okay.
She's the second. In the third, I would go with Sudha Shah. She doesn't have much to say, but she was an awesome player. And I think the opportunities way back in the 70s were not as much as what we are seeing today. So I think if they had played more cricket, and their numbers would have gone way up. So she is one more person whom I really admired when I was playing.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So this is Hala Asmat to continue. Only another 11 runs needed now from the last 2 overs. Tossed up. Oh, looks for a big hit. Thick inside edge, has the ball trickle down to square leg. And they just get a single. So do you do it in singles from here, or do you look for the big hit to finish things off?
I think a couple of big hits will ease their tension, and then safe ones, because safe I wouldn't say, because they still have a lineup, but I would say go for big hits. Why not, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So thankfully when I played, I didn't bat in the top order because I didn't have patience. I came in and I was swinging for the fences. But this seems to be the type of situation where you'd want to finish with a flourish. And you have 7 wickets behind you, so there's no reason to have to be tentative.
Yes.
If this is the last pair, then maybe you say, okay, we need to be careful.
Correct.
But in this situation,
what do you lose? Nothing.
you literally, even if you get out, there's 6 other people behind you.
Perfectly. I know. Those people can get the singles or doubles.
Exactly.
They'll still make it. But, you know, these guys are here to give those big hits. Why not, right?
Exactly. So this is played off the back foot by Snigdha Paul outside the line of off stump and just forced into that backward point area. So she does do it, at least this time, with a single. So just another 9 runs needed from 10 balls. And umpire Yuvraj Singh, again, running from square leg to square leg, which is exactly what you want to see umpires do. Just another 9 to come. Let's see what approach Shreya Arora takes here.
I see a little bit of a change in the fielding positions out here.
A lot of shifting around in the field. Short cover being brought in. So that's an interesting position for me. So that tells me the line is going to be outside the line of off, and then mid-wicket is coming in inside the circle. So nothing can be too straight from this type of line Tossed up, lofted in the ground, down the ground and not catchable.
There's nobody there.
A number of those today have fallen. I mentioned earlier that it looks like the ball has eyes because it's landing right in the middle of all of these catching opportunities. Just another 8 runs needed now.
So, Brian, just a quick question. Has the pitch taking a turn? I just came in literally like 15, 20 minutes back, so I'm not
Very
really
little turn.
Very
In fact,
little.
I can't remember any that have turned. Oh, you cannot bowl there to Sting the Paul. You absolutely cannot bowl there to her. That's the second time she's gotten a ball that's going down the leg side, and she's hammered it away both times. So just another 4 runs needed. 1 stroke away. It's very conceivable that the match could be finished in the next ball. So to answer your question, I haven't seen very many of them turn, and the field or the pitch rather it's like a block of grass of ice. I mean, it's completely clear.
Yeah.
Void of any, I think, not much grip. I don't think you're going to get much grip there.
How
So
about the
it's
bounce for the openers?
well, they're not bowling very quickly, so it's kind of hard to judge bounce. But I would think more so a batting paradise than anything else. And this is dragged to short mid-on. They wanted to go for a quick single, but it wasn't there. And so, see, I'm assuming that you're asking these questions not necessarily from the standpoint of providing analysis.
Scooping out, if I may.
You are picking up tips to then go and tell your team. I get that. So let's just get it out in the open. That's what you're doing, is it not?
Brian, you're the best.
Tossed up, stroked down the ground, just almost down the ground. Look at that. A direct hit would have been interesting there, but they get another single. So that is the end of the over. 8 runs coming from that over, and just another 3 runs to go.
Not too shabby. 8 runs.
8 runs from the over. So, you needed 5.5 at the beginning of that over. 5.5 and over to go. Now, in the last over, you need 3. I think you and I can go out there and get 3 runs.
Yeah. Let's do it, Brian.
Okay, everybody get off here. Commentators want to knock. When is the last time you actually played a cricket match?
Oh, God, please. Shall we? Really? Do we want to ask this question? You know, what happened was when, it's funny, last year, and this was USA Cricket when they had the games going on, the intra-regionals, and I was one of the coaches, and they didn't have they had a player shot.
And you fielded?
Yes.
Did you?
Yes, and that's when I was there.
Ah.
So that was the time. Yes.
Well, I had trouble towards the back end of my playing days with bad knees and bad ankles and a bad elbow. But I told myself I was not going to stop playing until my son and I could play a match together.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we
did
played.
You?
We did.
That
was 2015 or 2016. 16, I think.
Okay. Wow.
And we played. I was so fired up that he was playing that I opened the bowling off the long run.
Oh, wow.
2 deliveries. The first one was top edge. He was at short third. Top edge flew over his head to third man for 4. I was like, okay, I'm really feeling it now. So Jaden dropped back. So I drop him back on the boundary. Come sprinting in for the third ball. Boom. Hamstring. End of bowling days.
Oh!
I limped through the rest of the match, but he and I played together for that match. And then after that match was finished, thank you, God, I'm done.
Hey, that's historic, I must say. Did they take all those pictures and, videos?
This is long before pictures and videos.
I know, right? That's a wide.
This is a wide, so just another 2 runs needed now. So, have you seen enough on your scouting mission to know what to go and tell your team now?
Yeah, you haven't given me a good answer, though.
What answer are you looking for beyond what I've already told you?
I need a little more details. Come on, Brian. You've been commentating here for a little bit. You should be able to give me some more in-depth analysis on this.
I'm not going to be much assistance to you. I'm sorry. Look, you can, with your knowledge and with your experience, you can stay here and read the speech better than I can. I know it. So I wouldn't even bother attempting to tell you what to say. Struck down the ground. The scores are level. No, they will not come back for the second. So the next run of any flavor wins this match.
You have 1 run to go?
One run to go. The scores are now level. So do you try to end with a flourish? And in fact, look, the score right now is 127 for 3, which is the exact score, 127 for 3, that the Willow Breakers made.
Oh, wow. Come on. Yes, there we go. A run taken and the game's.
And that is the end of the match. So a pretty comprehensive victory. They won by 7 wickets with 3 balls to spare, rather. But you almost get the sense that it was never that close. So ever since maybe the last bit of intrigue, right when Snigdha came in, but her first 2 deliveries went for 4 and 6, and that took all of the intrigue out of the game.
Wow. Okay. So I think there's the next game.
You may be familiar with the team that's playing.
Have a lot to look forward to. If I may.
I am going to work your team into the commentary. Somewhere or the other, I think I'll be able to do that.
Yes, please do so.
So, wonderful. So, 128 for 3 is the final score. Just to go through the quick scorecard, the MCA women again. Giovanna Aras, 47 from 31 with 4 fours and 2 sixes. Shrutika Senthil, 5 from 10. Chinmahi, I think, played a very responsible knock, 47 from 31 with 5 fours. And then Shreya Aurora and Snigdha Paul coming in both at the end. Shreya 4 from 6 not out. Snigdha 17 from 10 not out with 2 fours and a 6. And that is your ball game.
Excellent. I think these folks did a really good job curtailing, but it is what it is. But batters were definitely strong out there with just 3 down. I think it just says it all that they have a strong batting lineup. And it's a nice warm day, and I think I want all the players to hydrate themselves. That's so important today, drinking more water and the Propel and all those electrolytes and everything to make themselves more comfortable during these conditions. Many of them are coming from different parts of the state, country, where they don't have this kind of heat, right? And
this heat sneaks up on you. You don't realize exactly how oppressive it is until you found yourself in the 3rd over of your spell and you're running into bowl and immediately you start cramping.
Yeah.
It sneaks up on you.
Brian, this is and I was just talking to my team, which was really strange because I was telling them every time we would get these cramps, we would have a piece of lime, we would dip it in salt and then just suck the juice. And it would give us immediate. I'm not kidding you.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Well, I wish I'd known that when I was playing.
That's true.
Now you tell me.
No, you can still go back. Hey, listen.
I'm good. I really am good. My exercise these days is walking the dogs, and I'm perfectly happy doing that.
Yeah.
Well, Mira, thank you very much.
Yes.
We're going to sign off for the moment, and there's some other game coming on that we might be interested in watching a little bit later.
Of course, and some other game. That's let's say it. Let's say it.
In fact, why don't you let everybody know who's playing next?
Oh, Chickadees, of course, from
Absolutely.
Massachusetts. Of course, they are going to be there. Enjoy the game, guys. Let's all cheer everyone, the team. And the teams, I would say both the teams, right? And looking forward to being there back again. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you once again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Be back soon.